Hello, this is another demo about LVM2 RAID support in Cockpit. Let's just start. Here are a couple of drives and let's make a volume group out of those and mess around with them. Here's the volume group, and it all mostly happens in the create logical volume dialog, of course. When you open it, it looks just like before. You can make block device for file systems, and if you do that, you get another drop down for the layout of it. The default is linear, and you can, as usual, just decide how big it should be, and Cockpit and LVM will select the physical volumes to use for that. Let's see what other options there are. The first interesting one is maybe linear on selected physical volumes. That gives you a whole big new area here where you can decide where to store your new linear logical volume. And the maximum size here for the size slider depends on what you select. With 1 you get 520, of course, and with 2 you get 1040, etc. And this is also true for all the other layouts. Let's make a more interesting one, for example, RAID 5. And if you read this all carefully, you see you need at least 3 volumes. Maybe we could point that out a bit better, that 2 is not enough here. But as soon as we select the third one, we get a useful size here in the size slider. Sorry, and this is the amount of bytes that you can store on it. It's not the amount of bytes that will be used. That's another thing that we could maybe show here in this dialog. We could even give a preview of how the logical volume will be allocated exactly on the physical volumes. But if you select the fourth, this grows a little bit more, because Cockpit will always create one stripe or one sub-volume per physical volume that you select here. So this will now give you a RAID 5 volume with 4 sub-volumes, which is not the textbook example of a RAID 5, but it's totally possible. It has one more than the normal 3 sub-volume ones. Let's create it. And that's it. And here Cockpit shows you how this thing has been allocated on the physical volumes. And you see it uses all 4 of them, and there's nothing left here. No free space anymore. And this is now good for 1.5 gigabytes. Yeah. RAID volumes are good for added redundancy. And let's try to cause some damage here. Can go to the terminal. The physical volumes are all I don't know what the term is, virtual iSCSI things, loopback devices. And one advantage of those is that you can make them disappear quite easily. So how did that go? Which one do we want to make disappear? Let's say SDC, the one in the middle. Device delete. So now it should be gone. And indeed, we get a information here globally to the volume group that something bad has happened, and that what used to be the physical volume with this UUID is now gone. And indeed here you get a path of triangles that leads you down to where the problem is. And as expected, the thing that used to be SDC is now gone. And the explanation is, one of them has disappeared, but it's fine. That's why you had a RAID 5 in the first place, that this might happen, and you are able to repair this. It says you should repair, but the action is here in the menu. That's maybe another open issue, that how do we make this better discoverable. Maybe a button here. There used to be a button, but it looked really ugly. But this is such an important case. I think we can devote really some good space to make it easy to repair this. So let's click this. And no, it's not possible because there isn't any free space anymore. All the 3 volumes here, they have been used already. So we have to add another one. I have one more here. Let's add this physical volume. Now we should be able to repair it. And it tells us at least 520 megabytes. So this is not enough. If you don't select it, let's select it. And this one has been replaced with SDA. No, this the missing physical volume thing has disappeared as well. That's a surprise. That must be bug somewhere. This button still, I know it's here. I've scrolled it off screen. Sorry. Yeah, forget about it. So let's clean up this state. That also needs UI improvements. Yeah. And that's basically it. Let's maybe delete this and explore the creation volume dialog a little bit more with all the space that we have now. What is there? Striped will be explained, and yeah, they're actually all quite similar. This one needs at least 5, so we can't ever get created here because we only have 4. So it will, oh, okay, this maybe doesn't need to be called out. Maybe we can disable or even not make it invisible. You know, invent some state for the size slider where it's clear that it's pointless right now. You can't use it because the volume cannot be created anyway that you have configured here. So this one will work. Yo, is there anything else to show? I don't think so. One thing I could point out is if you make a smaller RAID 5 here, LVM can of course grow this logical volume, but I have removed the button here because I'm not sure that LVM2 will always do the right thing when you grow a RAID volume with redundancy. It might allocate physical volumes in a funny way so that one of them is used for 2 subvolumes, and we shouldn't allow that. The way the creation process works around it is by always making as many subvolumes as there are physical volumes, and we should do the same kind of investigation and implementation for growing, but that has not been done and might not be part of this iteration, and so the button has disappeared here. Maybe it's not too much work, maybe it can still appear while we work on the UI design for the rest. No. Yo, that's how it looks. I don't have enough physical volumes to show you RAID 5 where there's more than 1 physical volume used for a subvolume. And but it's just that these things are then stacked on top of each other. So I would say that's it. Thanks a lot.